Okay, everybody, we're gonna get started, and once again, I think I know everybody here who I've met. I'm Mayor Butch Cook here in Devine, and I'm really excited to get this initiative started for us to see what your opinions are and the things that you can offer for us. So I'm trying to take a step back, okay, and because we want to hear what you have to say about our economic development, because we have a pretty nice cross-section of our community here at this committee, okay? So anyway, I just really want to thank all you all for taking part of your valuable time and coming and helping us with this, okay? So I'll turn that over to Mr. John Gamble, and he'll get you started.
I'm John Gamble with Texas A&M, University of Corpus Christi, in the College of Business. So I was the dean for 8 years. I'm currently a professor. I'm working with the Coastal Bend Business Innovation Center on kind of their mission, and their mission's focused on supporting small businesses and entrepreneurial startups, and then also supporting community economic development. So we were an EDA university center, and so the EDA actually kind of pointed us in, well, actually they put us in touch with Claudia Mora with the Alamo Area COG, and then she put us in touch with David and Mayor Cook. So what we do in terms of economic development is a little different than what you might be used to, is because we're business professors. And Dr. Hill, this is Dr. Trent Hill, he was vice president at A&M Corpus, and you were actually director of economic development for City of Amarillo, right? So Trent's got that background, but we're business professors, so we kind of look at, what are the tools that we use in helping a small business or an entrepreneurial startup or a larger company to be successful, and apply that to community, rural economic development. So having said that, maybe we could start by having all the participants introduce themselves, and I want to thank you for all being here, but looks like we've got a great turnout, and I'm just meeting people as a kind of a broad stakeholder group. So
sure, I'd be happy. My name is Dan Newberg, and I'm the pastor of First Baptist Church here in town.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you there.
Cindy Morales, and I have a real estate company here, a retail store here, and I serve as president of our Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm Fred, and I'm in the farm and ranch supply business here in Devine.
All right.
I'm Shannon Ramirez. I'm the CFO over at the school district.
Todd Grangine, Superintendent for Devine ISD.
I'm Georgine Burnell. I'm the Wesley nurse with Methodist Healthcare Ministries here in Devine.
Jeremy Vale, I run a salon and a photography studio right over here.
Okay.
Firefighter Sanchez with Devine Volunteer Fire Department.
I'm Jessica Martinez, the Assistant Chief with Devine Fire Department.
Well, thanks.
James Garcia, Compliance Officer for Security State Bank here in Devine.
Michael Hernandez, District 2 City Councilman.
Okay.
Aaron Adeva, I work for the city with the water foreman.
All right. And David?
David Jordan, City Administrator for Devine.
Well,
Thanks for coming.
Well, and I guess we have, did you want to introduce?
Oh, I'm Steve Smith. I'm a farmer and rancher, and I'm the director for the Devine Market Association. I run the farmers market.
Thanks. Well, we asked for a broad stakeholder group because really, it's not just city leadership that develops a plan and implements a plan, or it really takes, like the school board and the hospitals and the fire department, everybody kind of pursuing the same goals. And so what we do is we kind of start by looking at where are we today, looking at the baseline economic conditions, and then we talk about things that, well, a way a business becomes successful is you have to have a value proposition that attracts customers. So you have to offer something of value that customers are willing to pay for, and to increase customers and maintain your profit margins. But we feel like the city is kind of the same. There has to be something here that's a magnet for new residents or new businesses. There has to be some kind of core set of values that people that live in the community and the longtime residents really like about the community, and encourage them to stay here. So Dr. Hill will kind of get at that. We're going to try to come up with 5 words that really kind of define the community. So, and then we'll, through the next 5 workshops, we'll try to develop a plan that builds upon those and then also addresses strategic issues. So through the 6 workshop series, we'll identify different strategic issues. Some of them will be growth opportunities. Some of them might be infrastructure limitations. So what we do is we facilitate. So you're going to tell us the answers and we'll write them down. But you are residents here, you're business owners here, and you know what the issues are. But what we found in working with other communities is a lot of times this broad group of people have never sat down in one room. Everybody kind of is in agreement about what the issues are, but they've never discussed it. And so the goal at the end of the 6 workshop is we'd like to have a well-developed action plan. So public works, here's the action items for public works, or the school system, or the hospitals, or chamber. So there's a plan for the community with each stakeholder having some responsibility. Trent, did you want to add anything to that?
The main characteristic of economic development is new money in. Right. You have a pie, and that's your economic pie. And just slicing that same pie in smaller pieces is not economic development. Economic development is new resources coming in, products going out. Usually is how that works. And so being able to keep that in mind as well,
I'm sorry, can you say that again, please?
The economic pie is a fixed portion of your economy. And the way you do economic growth is you have new money coming in from external, not just subdividing what you already have. And one of the things that looking at, I think you're going to go over the economic picture that we have. One of the things we do is we provide first, this is how it is right now, based upon the state and county records. This is where you stand. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go, where do you want to be? And then how do we get there? So it's a pretty orchestrated plan.
Well, thanks, Trent. So we'll go ahead and start by analyzing this. So one of the other centers in the college business today in Corpus is the South Texas Economic Development Center. And so this is all public data out of databases on your community. There's one typo. We're also working with the city of Dilley. And if you notice on age distribution, it says Dilley, but that's actually the data for Devine. So, but in glancing at this, you may have seen it before, and this may be the first time to take a look at it, but I'd like to write down some of the standout economic characteristics that you feel are important.
Our median age is 45. That stood out to me.
Okay. And so so that's a little higher than the state average. So do you have any thoughts on that? Or?
Just observation. It's common for us post-high school graduation to not see young folk return, if you will, from wherever they've gone until they've got a spouse and 2 children on them. And so there's a gap that we have in terms of retaining that youth, and there are any number of reasons that we can speak about that.
Right. So, well, and your proximity to Central Texas is such that it's not. There's so many jobs between San Antonio and Austin, and you can see where that'd be a magnet for high school graduates. Anybody else have
The
anything?
average annual income is almost $30,000 below the Texas income. So our average income is only $45,000 a year.
Do you have any observations? reservations about that? Or?
There's just not a lot of high-paying jobs in rural locations, and so people leave, and transportation costs are going up, food costs are going up, and if all you can make is $45,000 here, you're gonna leave to go somewhere else where you can support your family.
Okay.
I can talk about from a real estate perspective that kind of ties in those two. Seeing young people we don't have a lot of housing, available housing within our city limits. You know, we've lost people. I mean, like right now, there's tons of housing that's going up in Lytle, but also Castroville. And so we see young people that are coming back that may have that higher paying job, that just got married, don't have the kids, but I don't have anything in their price range to show them. So it's, you know, just a plan for us to grow smart and have some good positive housing development in our area, which we haven't had in a while.
Would you classify it as affordable housing?
Just kind of a mixture, just, you know, supply and demand driven. We don't have a lot of housing development.
And I'll piggyback on that. School funding depends on number of kiddos and property values. And so more houses would bring more kids, which would bring more funding, which would help us pay our teachers more, which would increase salaries.
Right. And,
Positive growth.
And we've worked with communities where they have a really strong ISD, and that's a magnet for new residents, as you mentioned. So.
And that has been for many years.
Anything else you see that seems important?
The educational attainment for some college is even with Texas.
Okay.
That just stands out to me because even if they're not going for a 4-year degree, a bachelor's or a master's in whatever they're going to, they're getting some sort of trade or some kind of college experience, even if it isn't a degree, which to me is huge.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a community college that serves this area, or?
The closest that I have found is San Antonio College, but that's just from the fire rescue side because the fire, the regional fire academy is just down 35. But other than that, I know Hondo.
You have the Southwest Texas Junior College with Betty Valley, and they're kind of, Devine is kind of like exactly in the middle between the Alamo School District, or the Alamo University and College District, and then the South Texas Rural Junior College. So we're kind of like directly in the middle of the equal distance.
A&M San Antonio is about 30 minutes from here, 30, 35 minutes.
I believe you also have Pleasant.
Yeah.
I know they have like a Galen college there, so more like trades, but they do offer junior college classes there.
Anything secondary education beyond high school requires people to leave the community.
Yes.
Anything.
Okay.
Within at least a 30 to 40 mile radius.
Yes.
The high school partners with Alamo Community College for dual credit.
Dual credit.
So it's probably the closest community college, what, Palo Alto?
Palo Alto, 25 miles.
Okay. So actually, you know, one of our sibling institutions in the A&M system, A&M San Antonio, they're right there by the Palo Alto campus. So there's a 4-year degree 25 miles away as well. So. Okay.
I look at the number of, the two largest categories of employment. government in particular here is education. So education instructor, so school district. And that's not an indictment on the school district itself. That just shows that we're missing enough to support them effectively. Whatever government, because every government employee is dependent on the public to support them for their income. So we don't have enough generating income in order to support the government institutions that we do have here. Now, I assume that a lot of that government, the above government, we have a lot of military and government workers that come in from San Antonio area, from the basin.
That's true.
Even when you look at our employment by occupation, our educational instruction is the number one, and that doesn't, again, that's not anything about the schools, that just doesn't bode well for a community that can't survive.
It's way out of
With
whack.
having
So
more,
how much of this is,
more people supported by it.
how much of this is in the school district here? This graph, if I'm reading it right. I mean, it's probably the biggest. So basically what's happened is our school has created a product they've exported out of here.
Yeah, right.
We've exported all the talent, we've created it and exported it, and that group of people that's in here working.
So on this other chart, it shows that oil and gas is kind of a large employment quotient as well. Is that still the case, or?
It raised some during Eagleford,
Okay.
and we had a lot of people move in, and because they wanted to live here because of our school district and proximity to San Antonio. So we had people that were commuting as far as Carrizo Springs, but they wanted to live here. But as that shifted, as politics shifts and everything, then they've all moved. There's still some here,
Okay.
but that kind of ebbs and flows depending on
And they go where the work is.
Policy.
And the work changes.
Right.
The oil field.
If you go out to West Texas and look at the Permian Basin numbers, you're gonna see where our people are.
Yeah,
That's where they went.
they all moved to Odessa.
Because
In 2015, they all left.
And those are your top end
Yeah,
wage earners.
yeah.
Really, really productive. I watched them all leave.
But then they won't come back. But
Well,
we've gotta have
but it's cheaper to
policy
produce,
changes.
it's cheaper to produce out of the Permian than it is the
Yeah.
Eagleford, and so
Yeah.
I don't know when they're gonna come back.
So that's a good point, though. It's hard to kind of build your economy around transient
Right,
employees. So,
right.
Okay, any other takeaways that you see?
Well, and a lot of the manufacturing, as far as, Hondo, there are county seats, so a lot of these, it's county seat only. But then it kind of goes back to, and I've had several meetings with David, you got to have positive growth, and I think a lot of that goes back to infrastructure challenges with the city, to where, I think sometimes we miss opportunities to land manufacturing or anything, and they go elsewhere because we don't have the infrastructure to provide for them within the city limits.
Okay.
Such as? You have railheads?
Yes.
Yeah,
Do we have what?
railheads.
No, see, mine really got screwed in that deal, because Union Pacific, all of our railheads from here to rail. They stripped out all of our railheads, so if we want to bring something from Mexico, or stage things to export or import, we have no infrastructure. UP took it all out of here, and they did it from Lytle to Catula. They broke it at Gardendale and Catula, and then it's a clear line all the way to the rail. So the UP just really made a mess of that for us, for growth opportunity. The one thing, and I don't know when we're gonna get to that, but the one thing that helps us and all our small businesses, 35. And the fact that we're north of 57. Because we can get goods into Devine very economically if they're manufactured in up that I-35 corridor. And if they're coming or going from Mexico, because if it's going to Laredo, it passes through Devine. If it's going to Piedras Negras, it passes through Devine. Now, if it's going to Acuña, it has to go through 90. But 90 is a mess. So our biggest opportunity is to try to figure out how to land distribution. Because
But to do that, we have to have city utilities, city services on the other side of 35, and we need to have connecting access roads, which we do not. And our access roads means they can't be one way. they have to be doubled. I had a gentleman in my office in December that wants to build a hotel here, and he wants it, but the locations I was finding him, the access roads are one way, and they want, there's just certain parameters they have. So that's something I've talked to Mr. Jordan about, that I've noticed. Our access roads don't connect. From Bigfoot to 173, none of them connect. So, that's something I think Devine missed the boat on decades ago, but it's something possibly. But that's what, the big guys that come down, that's the first thing, they want city services. And so we've got to figure out a way to extend city services out to 35, because they don't want water meters and they don't want septic.
Well, and I've also heard that since we don't have a turnaround, that causes issues with that as
Exactly.
well. And then the exit ramp from 35 south is too far.
Yes.
So is the city, is it city limit cross 35, or is it, have y'all annexed them that way, or how does that work? Where
Stops right at the bridge.
So it doesn't cross.
That's why Mr. Brown, when he was here, that's why he developed on the other side. He didn't have to pay the city taxes, I believe, correct? You didn't have to pay none of that city taxes. That's why everybody moved to that outside. So,
Well, but that even goes back to when, back when they moved 35, when they moved the traffic out of Devine back in the, that was the late 60s.
Yeah.
When they moved the traffic out of Devine, it moved, if you think about Castroville and Hondo, everybody thinks they're so successful and well managed, but the thing is everybody is forced to go through there.
Yes.
So their downtowns are powerful and productive because of the traffic.
Yes.
You just can't help but stop there. But when you went around Lytle, Natalia, and Devine, and you went around Pearsall and Dilly, Cotulla even, you drive all the towns. And moving people back through has been, but that's all done. The thing now is to figure out, look at the truck stop people. They know the movement of goods is here because they're building them all up and down. We need to figure out how to distribute. I toured the Benny Keith facility that's just there in Selma, and it's 980,000 square feet. And you go through their buildings and there's cracks everywhere because they built it up on that terrible soil north of San Antonio. If they would have come down here, their warehouse would be staying together better. And then when you go to a distribution warehouse in San Antonio, getting in and out, when you have trucks that take 30 or 40 minutes to just get out of the area that they're parked, those are things that we need to figure out how to explain to people that you could do because you can hit 35, 57, you can go east, west, north quickly from here. It works really good for us. And I don't know why it wouldn't work good for a lot of people. We've had to shift our business the last 5 years to strictly distribution because there is no retail here. If you're not Walmart, you don't have any retail.
Right.
So, but what's worked for us is being able to move stuff.
Yeah, I was telling Trent, I was at a meeting at Port of Laredo, and they commented that 2/3 of all truck traffic into the United States comes through the Port of Laredo. So they're 2/3 of all trucks.
And that's only going to increase with the NAFTA changes.
Right.
Continue, and China issues and up in manufacturing in Mexico, it's only going to increase.
Right. Okay.
The I-27 has been talked about tying into 35 into Laredo. Has that ever been discussed?
You know, Fred?
No.
That's the one that's supposedly goes to Canada. It's going to be
Oh, the 37 you said. Is it, you said, no,
27.
27. That was that big one. Going through Texas, that was supposed to engage the toll road and everything else going all the way up there, that spine. And it was 10 lanes across. I think it was some giant monstrosity. I don't know where that landed, but last I knew that was stopped outside of Texas Road.
Is there still discussion about that?
Well, I live in Amarillo, and I-27 ends there. And the
Right.
discussion has been, that it goes going north, 287 goes up Denver all the way up. But coming down, it's coming through Laredo is where the tie is.
That was a proposal?
So I'm not sure what.
One thing that you mentioned, the county is a little different than the city. And if you look at this employment data and the unemployment rate, it seems like, the county had, unemployment jumped during the coronavirus 2020, but it seems that unemployment's been very, very low in the community throughout that period. Well, let's see, I'm sorry. It's kind of unchanged. I guess it did have a slight dip of employment in 2020, 2021. But if you go back to looking at local employment, probably 2014, but that was in the peak of Eagle Ford Shale, right?
2012 to 2014.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, I became dean of the College of Business in Corpus in 2013, and all of our students were,
Yeah.
they had jobs waiting on them when they graduated, multiple job offers. Sales tax collection, pretty stable.
Do y'all have the 4A tax, absent sales tax?
I can't hear you.
Do you have the 4A, have y'all done the sales tax for economic development, the absent sales tax?
We do, it goes to Medina County. So the economic development, go Medina funds, basically, for the county.
So the county has the sales tax, captures the sales tax?
They take a portion for economic development, yes.
Oh,
So there's a portion of sales tax that you can opt into that can be secured for economic growth.
Here?
But what you're saying is whatever that quarter point is going to Hondo, to Medina County, and not to our part of the county. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, it's my understanding, yes.
That's interesting.
Change that.
Yeah,
That's it.
How do you change that?
Yeah.
because that's usually a city's economic fund for
Right.
economic development, is that absent sales tax.
Right,
Created 4A or 4B.
yes. We
So
currently
are
don't
we
have
just
it.
not collecting it, or is it being collected and going somewhere else?
It's being collected, it's going to, this, used for the county economic development, which includes Devine for Medina County. City does not have economic development 4A, 4B, any type of economic development corporation at all,
Do you know
at this point.
Do you know what percent of that collection that they do comes back to Devine?
I could find out, I won't say 0.5% on this quote, so I can let you know here in a
The
second.
max you can take is 0.5% on
So
the
it's
sales
going to be a
tax.
Right.
portion of that.
Yeah.
That might be something to look into.
Okay. So I think if, you look at these two charts, what we've written down based on comments, I think key takeaways are there's low unemployment, but there's limited employment growth. We said most of the employment tends to be in government. Oil and gas was very transient, peaked 2012, 2014. Sales tax collections have been stable. There's an opportunity to capture business off of I-35 and 57, but there's some limitations, right? I mean, you said that
Infrastructure.
yeah, infrastructure limitations.
It takes too much time to get stuff in and out of those warehouses that put to, and you're not going straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Population's a little older than the average in the state of Texas. Income is lower than the average. And
Literacy level is lower.
right, the four-year degree residence is lower, but.
And that's just the city limits, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because there's probably just as many people that live within 5 miles of the city limits that live in the city limits.
Right.
The majority of the people that move the growth, and I go back to just infrastructure challenges, housing, is outside the city limits. And there's huge populations on the other side of 35 and development out there.
Yeah, we've worked with other communities where they have all this growth around
them.
the town, but it's
Yes.
not inside the city limits.
Right.
So that, so we'll put that up here, growth outside the city limits.
Well, how can we change that?
Pardon me?
Infrastructure.
You have to have somewhere to put them.
Well, but you have to have your ETJ where the city's going to go in and annex. But to do that, they have to be able to provide services. So it goes back to having an infrastructure plan.
Okay,
So I know that there's like more than different discussion, I'm sure, later on.
Policy.
But one of the things that I immediately thought of from a culture standpoint of what would bring people to even, so I'm from Natalia, you are as well. I know.
Don't hold that against us.
Exactly, but just.
Why'd you gotta show that color?
So you mentioned at the beginning, like, the number one thing that jumped off the page was, and you guys were in high school, I left, and there was no reason to come back. Granted, I left, I met my wife, and then she wanted to live here, and I love that happened, but it's like, it brings that question, why bring people here, or why come here? So, the thing that I've noticed, and this is not a pointing finger thing, one of the things I wanted to bring up is how can we figure out, and it wouldn't really cost anyone a lot of money, is a community cleanup. Like the properties that I see are just like, I mean, luckily the little abandoned building across from our shop, and across from Sherry's next to the donut shop, it was cleaned up, but it's still an abandoned property. And so that's one of the things that I've noticed is maybe that's one of the things that people don't want to live here is because it's not really a clean place to live. So, well, I mean, what would that take? I know there's code compliance and that kind of thing, but that's like, so when Mayor Cook reached out, it's like, you know, I want you to come in, but that was my thing.
Well, and some of that is.
Pride.
It's cool. Well, and we have our once a year, the Mission Divine project, you know, maybe looking into ways of expanding and supporting that to where it can happen more than just June, 1 week in June, a year.
I would caution you on that one. That's a Herculean effort to get that 1 week right now.
Right.
Just
So I'm saying if we could find a way to support it and increase it, that, you know, it's a great week. Everybody in the town pulls together. It's an awesome thing to see. But we only do it once a year. And I know it does take a lot to do it. So what could we do to support that to where it happens more often?
That's always been a challenge, but here again, I go back to real estate and the young people that I see. I mean, my age when I was younger and now my son's age. And there's a lot of pride here and there's wonderful people here. Devine is a very, very giving community. And people want to come back here and raise their children here in our schools. But we're limited on where to live. And I go back to, there's, you know, subdivisions in Lytle. There's a really nice subdivision in Natalia, but it's pretty full. But the commute is not bad to San Antonio. Our location is great, but I go back to supply and demand driven, and we don't have housing
are there
available.
kind of structural?
Available, you know, like Dan was saying, 200,000 to 300,000 and even more. But there's just not that many houses that are being built inside our city limits for that positive growth to get these kiddos to come back. Because I think we'd capture more if we had the housing available.
Okay,
I
so
truly do.
One thing we've seen with some communities is, you know, it's hard for them to attract real estate development because they don't have water and sewer to where this, is that similar here?
So the same thing that's going on right now with Lytle. Lytle's built so fast that they don't have a facility to this, you know, for all the waste and everything.
Okay. You're not the only one, right?
Yeah, right. Where is your water supply from?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Where's your water supply from?
From our city water system.
Yeah, okay.
And we
so-
have the Edwards Aquifer and Carrizo.
Okay.
Yes.
We actually have 3 water opportunities here. We have some Wilcox production, we have some Carrizo left, and then there's the Edwards. And David and I talked about that a while back, about working on developing our water sources and making sure that we're ready for that, because I see Castroville and Lytle and Natalia and San Antonio all struggling with not having enough water to do anything. And I believe that Devine has the potential to develop all 3 water sources.
Yeah, that's.
And I really think we need to be really working on that.
Aggressive on
You
that.
secure adequate water for long term, you've secured your future.
Okay, I have a better answer on the economic development portion. So in August the 8th of 1987, the City Council, City of Devine, determined that an additional 0.5% of local sales tax and use tax to be used to reduce the property tax rate was adopted at an election held on August 8th, 1987. So the money for economic development is not being captured for that. It's being captured to reduce property taxes in the city. And I was correct, we are paying into a fund for the Medina County Economic Development to be a part of that. But we are not capturing the 0.5% that we could capture for economic development in the city. If we wanted to do that, it'd be up to City Council, and we can have an election to do that.
All right, so I think we have a pretty good understanding of where we are today. And as I mentioned, where the next part of this, and Trent's going to kind of lead this, is, what are the kind of the keys, the standout qualities of the community that could attract new residents and new businesses? Yes?
I just want to add one thing before you move
Okay.
to a different approach.
Sure.
A couple months ago, I, along with the mayors of Natalia and Lytle, met with the TxDOT regarding their 10-year development plan for I-35 and our corridor down here, because it is expected to boom coming this way. Okay, by all of their research and studies. And they don't really care about economic development, just letting you know. They couldn't care less. Everything that they deal with is safety related. So their long-range plan is to I-35 will be 3 lanes from 410 all the way to Dilley, and they want a continued access road at least from Lytle to Devine, and probably a little further on both sides. And these access, and that'll include building the necessary bridges like a Chicon Creek.
Yes.
All right, some other
That's
areas.
another challenge.
And, all right, and they will be one way, but they will have considerable turnarounds. I think Dilley's like that right now. And there's also going to be other safety issues with regards to the freeway. But as far as economic development, we're going to have to consider that, because it's going to be one-way access roads, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually that's what they're going to do. Okay? But at least they're going to have considerable turnarounds. Okay? So at that same time, I asked them, I said, well, if you're so safety related, well, how come we don't have sidewalks going to Walmart? Oh, well, we didn't have the money for that. Okay, right. So but anyway, and then one other point is that the city can no longer just go and annex people. They have to ask to be annexed or give us permission.
Yeah.
So, that's out of our control for now, and I think that changes from time to time.
It's not every 5 to 6 years.
So next time it changes, hey, but we have to have the infrastructure ready to go in order for us to do that.
Well, in terms of that voluntary annexation, trying to work with the community, that was part of their economic development strategy, is they wanted to provide water and sewer to encourage voluntary annexation.
That's what's been done in the past,
Okay.
many years ago.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we know, kind of talking about where we are. What I'd like what we're going to do now is, I want you to we're going to think of names, just words that tell the story of Devine, why somebody should move to Devine, what's great about Devine, what the opportunities are in Devine. And it needs to be free flowing. We're just gonna write them down. We're not gonna critique any of them right now. You're just gonna throw them out. We're gonna put them on a piece of paper up here. And then we'll go back, later on and kind of wean that down to get those 5. But right now, let's just get some, I'll start it. It's a great place to raise a family. I heard that, right?
Family loyalty, generations of families here.
Okay.
Heritage.
Heritage. Okay, what else?
Community.
Community,
People work together.
Supportive,
Yeah, support.
unified community,
supportive, caring,
okay,
Great culture.
yeah,
great culture.
our school. Yes.
Schools,
You try.
Proximity to San Antonio.
okay. Would you consider Devine a bedroom community in San Antonio? Is that ever?
Bad word.
Bad word?
I think we're kind of right on the edge. In my experience, people that work in San Antonio, Divine's about as far as they're gonna go, Pearsall's too far.
Yeah.
So we're still within that commute, where they're okay with that commute. So it's a lot of people that live here work in San Antonio, the downtown area, medical center area, and they don't want to live in San Antonio. They want to live in a smaller community
Exactly.
for the school.
Okay, what else?
Stay away from all that traffic and everything else. I used to work at Home Depot on military. It'd take me 30 minutes to get to work. Somebody that lived 5 miles down, it'd take them 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Now, the 18-wheelers are adjusting that a little bit, but we're still, I don't want to say a bedroom, but we're on that edge
Yeah.
of being acceptable for a commute.
So I heard a comment, is bedroom community a bad word? What's wrong
I
with
don't-
that? What did I hear?
Devine has its own identity, and it's not San Antonio. That's the key. And
Right.
when you classify somebody as a bedroom community, that's slapping a label, oh, you're just San Antonio South.
Yeah.
People
Well,
come
I
and
think
sleep
there's
here,
a
but they
positive
don't-
and a
they
negative.
don't live and
Yeah,
pray here.
it could be
They
a
go to
positive and a
San
negative.
Antonio.
Plano is a bedroom community in Dallas, but Plano
Right.
is Plano. I think, it can also have a positive as well as, you're right.
Well, Plano's just got piles of money. So that's
Yeah.
another problem.
Because it's bedroom community in Dallas. Okay, what's another? What's another?
I love the small.
No.
Small town feel?
I mean, I think you're, a lot of it does, but
Okay. What else?
not congested.
heavy
You
agriculture.
want it to grow, but you don't want it so congested. Right now, it's not congested.
Yeah, people are
I mean,
sitting on top of it.
When you bring that revenue in, I mean, more businesses, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be as bad, but more money be coming into the city. We can develop a lot more.
We've
Like Fred said,
had a lot of people come in recently that we experienced through the markets, that are coming here for affordable land. They don't want to live in the city, so they want affordable land, and they want to be outside of the fray of the city.
Y'all have many that come and want like 5 acres, 1 acre places, where they can have a house and a horse? Is that a?
You gotta have 10 acres to have ag exemption, because of taxes.
They usually try to go for about 10 acres.
Yeah,
10
because
acres.
the
Magic number.
property taxes are just,
So is that?
it's hurting the school, it's hurting everything.
Are
'cause
those
they-
available? I mean, is there landowners that are now?
There's subdividing going on, so that's, I see some of the places that I used to supply inputs to that are now being subdivided. So
Yeah.
there's more opportunity.
Right, so ranchettes or whatever you
Yeah.
call them.
Yeah.
The opportunity,
People that wanna
and
live
those are
that
pretty
way.
high dollar usually opportunities.
Just depends, but I think it goes back to, like Dan said, the location. We're close enough to San Antonio Medical Center. It's usually that, 45 minute, they don't want to go over 45 minutes, so we're right on the cusp of that. So, I think it goes back to our location.
Do we get location?
Locally owned businesses.
Locally owned
Yeah.
businesses?
And we've had an uptick in small businesses here, not the bigger ones. But as far as retail, we we've had, I mean, just in the last 5 years, we've had quite a few new businesses open.
So are those new businesses from people that already live here?
Yes.
Yes.
So entrepreneurship
Yes.
is an
Yes.
great opportunity.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a favorable environment for entrepreneurs.
It's a favorable, it's a favorable environment for entrepreneurs. We have good, generally speaking, we've got some restrictions that have been put in place recently that are onerous, but generally speaking, it's good for entrepreneurs.
I go back to supportive, and one of the things the chamber has tried to push that we'll continue to push is the shop local, keep the money local.
Yes.
You know, shop local, support the businesses that support our school and our community. So that's kind of been our main thing. Devine is very unique in that we don't have the town square. We have a lot of unique businesses here, but our footprint, we're very spread out. So
We noticed that. We drove around. I
we're
couldn't
very spread out.
find where the actual square was.
We don't have one.
Yeah. Okay, what else? What are some other positive, you're trying to get your friend to move here, they're looking for a nice community.
We've got the golf course.
We have a golf course. We have some
Amenities.
amenities. The Devine Acres is a wonderful family-friendly, local family owns it that has wonderful activities for kiddos year-round. So
Y'all have a children's program that works throughout the summer, like
the
little
library
baseball?
does. That's something that I think we need to improve on as far as our city parks. A lot of the green space is provided by our school district. We have a youth sports program here, but I go back to the school district usually provides all that, so.
You know, something we need to figure out, if we had 10 Devine Acres, because that is an economic generator for this community like you wouldn't
Oh,
believe.
they bring-
Anybody who has a brain and watches the movement of people out of the city, because you talk about bringing in money.
It's a Christmas tree farm.
The Halloween pumpkin
But
patch.
they provide activities for schools.
It's
So-
your cover photo.
Oh, is it?
Yes, yeah.
And
It's outside our city
Well,
limits,
that's when, oh, well.
but they do.
It's not a jab, but it's.
No,
That gets back to what Cindy said.
Our grad
Limits don't
student
Right.
graph pictures, and
Yeah.
that's the one they chose.
But that agritourism business
It's a good one.
is huge,
Yes.
and it's happening much better than it's happening.
I couldn't agree with Fred more on that, and we're in the business of it, and he's absolutely correct. We have Devine Acres, we also have Delray B. Lavender, everything is outside of the city.
But it doesn't have to be.
It has to be, yes, absolutely,
But
yeah.
it's still, you can drive through Devine during December and there's cars parked everywhere with Christmas trees.
Yes,
All
sir.
of the
They're
state.
leaving more money.
Right?
But that is exactly what you said. It brings money in and the agritourism, and I'm biased, but I want you to add there, we have good water and good soil. And if you're
Good
in the
soil, yeah.
agritourism, I mean, I talk to people every day who want me to go put an irrigation system in Bandera or Bernie. And I ask them, why did you buy that crappy land that doesn't have any soil and doesn't have any water? Well, it's pretty. Well, take a shower in pretty, or drink pretty.
Yeah.
Because we have water that can be developed. We have good soil. Agritourism is a moneymaker. It's a proven deal. That is an amazing operation that does, it creates so much opportunity in this community. We need 10 of those of different types.
Devine Acres they offer field trips. So starting March, for 3 months, I mean, I'm sitting at my real estate office and yellow buses, every day, yellow buses. So it brings a lot in, and that's something that the chamber has worked on as far as we're gonna put together a business directory, because we wanna capture those people.
How far away did they come, those yellow buses?
I've seen them from
Laredo, Corpus Christi, and then so what they've done is their Christmas tree business has quadrupled. They've had to stop because they don't have enough trees. They brought in more because what happens is, I talked to Kenny and Debbie when they have these field trips and these parents come and go, oh, this is a neat place. And then they come back and now they come back every year. So we're trying to, it's a huge magnet for Devine, so we're trying to capture them. Hey, let's eat here. There's shops here. You know, there's a lot of nice things here, but here again, we go back to our footprint. We're very spread out.
So I would imagine that 80% of their revenue is from outside the
Yes.
area. So it's a direct movement of goods or revenue. And then they have a huge payroll and all those people are here.
Yeah.
That is the perfect. That
In the
is
summertime, 173 is the main corridor. Especially people who live in the coast.
Go to the
wanna
coast.
Go to the coast.
Or the river.
They want to go to the river. The people that want to live over here by the river, they want to go to the coast. So 173 right here, I mean, in the summertime, it takes me 10, 15 minutes to back out and get on, because I live right on 173. So I'll reverse back and I said, oh, it's clear. Oh, hold on.
It's true.
I mean, it is very congested. That's the only time in the summertime I love to see it, you know?
Gotta get them stock.
But we don't capitalize on it in the city.
Yeah, exactly, to have something worthwhile so that they stop here on their way to the coast.
We get my favorite report has our top 10 taxpayers. And this year, even above Walmart is
Wilbur Ellis.
Okay, so what do, I don't know.
So Wilbur Ellis is the perfect example too, and that's why they're in this quiet little 100-acre piece of land.
They are killing it.
They make products that go all the way across the country.
Like you're saying, distribute.
They're into, and what you're gonna watch them do is they're already shifting towards the regenerative ag concepts, the biological farming. And this location is probably gonna be one of the places where they'll create a lot of these new biological farming products.
They have the space.
What's the name of
Are
it?
they locally?
Wilbur
No,
Ellis.
Wilbur Ellis is owned by a Chinese company.
That's where when I went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, so Wilbur Ellis, Helena, all of your major Simplot, they're all owned
How did they
by,
end up here?
Because we have soil and water.
because we have soil and water and we have
It's
agribusiness.
affordable
They're
land
about
and there's soil and water.
a mile
and it's
on
in
the
a-
other side of
it's-
35.
It's strategically positioned where, on the 35
How do we
corridor.
get more of them?
Well, that's what I was saying. We have, with going
Yeah.
east, west, south, Wilbur Ellis does a bunch of business in Mexico. They manufacture here because it's technology, and then it's getting consumed down there, and they can manage production here. But that, and they're quiet, that's a
They're
sleeper.
very quiet.
Yeah,
But they bought up enough land.
they have 100 acres there.
They do now.
Yes.
And, but
That's what we
but
need.
that's what we need people to understand. And I don't know, I'm assuming Wilbur Ellis, because a lot of their stuff is hydrated. So I would imagine they're pulling out of the Carrizo to get the water to manufacture the liquefied goods that are being exported.
But if they're pulling it out of the Carrizo and they're using regenerative practices, that's actually adding back into the aquifer at a higher rate than it would be in just an
And
extractive.
even if they weren't, it's what a wonderful way to sell water.
Yes, sir.
Because when you sell $50 worth of product, it's, you know, because it's got biology in it, or it's got some kind of human substance that makes things grow. So, but that's exactly, I mean, they're a sleeper, but we need to figure out how to get more of that kind of manufacturing here. It's that, they employ people.
But it goes back to the history of Devine, which was agriculture and hustlers, so sales, you know,
I
mercantile.
know we haven't managed our water well here, but I was told that Devine was one of the best places to fill water in locomotives because it didn't destroy the boiler. Our water quality here, the Carrizo water quality here was
Carrizo's water
exceptional.
table.
Now, we need to really look at how we're pulling on it and how we're tapping into it. But the water quality here is tremendous, or it was when it was higher. Still, there's the opportunity. I mean, look, there's a train in that picture. There was water here that was exceptional.
Yeah.
And that's Wilbur Ellis?
Wilbur Ellis is but you better not write their name down, they're real quiet. They fly under the radar.
So ag manufacturing?
They manufacture ag products.
Okay.
And then they ship them worldwide out of there.
Where are they located?
Right on the other side of 35, about a mile on the other side of 35.
Landed
Half a
the
mile.
over here
Kind of like behind the
that we own,
meters.
right across the street on the other side of 35.
Now, That's their manufacturing. They don't do any retail there.
Like, do they even have an office you can walk in?
Well, but it's only for shipping and
Yeah,
receiving.
it's
They
not
they
any
don't do
retail.
any retail.
No.
They don't need the distraction. Their focus is manufacturing.
Okay, what are some other words? Do we have them?
Togetherness.
Togetherness? So it's a very cohesive community.
Yes.
It's very humble. Very humble.
Okay? So are any of these that we could maybe combine, looking at them? Can y'all see them all?
My handwriting's not the best. So we got ones that might go together, ag manufacturing outside the city, then agriculture with quality soil and water. The reason why I'm reading this, because I know you can't read it. I can sometimes read it from the handwriting. So, I mean, that kind of goes together.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just kind of
Put a one. Just put
Okay.
a one back.
Let's put it A.
And an A.
Let's see. Okay, and then a lot of these go together: cohesive, humble, family-oriented, togetherness, supportive, caring culture, or those.
I think a lot of that goes to the history of Devine again, that it was not a commute to San Antonio, because you're not going to drive your horse and buggy up there. You're not going to drive your Model T up there. It was here. And this was the hub of so much of the area. This was the place that was where everything was consolidated. This is the place where it was the crossroads for coming up from south. That if you, that's going to develop into a community that, just like you said, it's going to be a tight-knit community of very supportive people.
I keep going back to supportive, but I mean, anything the school does,
Yeah.
any family in need, fundraise, anything like that, it's a very giving community. It's a very close-knit community.
Friday night.
Supportive. I just keep going back to supportive.
Friday night's a big night.
It's good, big. But I go back to, like I said, supportive. There's so many small businesses here. Not the Walmarts, not the big businesses, but our businesses are very giving to our sports organizations, to our school districts. Fundraising, we have a great network of wonderful churches here. We have a lot of good nonprofits here, Lions Club, our current events.
Salvation Army.
Our current events started Reese Across America, and that's huge. And our community just jumped in. What do we need to do? And it just took off. So I can't think of a better word than supportive, but we do. It's a supportive community.
Yeah, I mean, even like the Salvation Army over the last couple of years, we set target goals. I'm part of the board of the Salvation Army as well. And we set community goals, and with our Salvation Army here in Devine, everything that is earned here in Devine is spent here in Devine. I manage the benevolence funds, so I see what comes in and what goes out. And every time we come up to a need, we announce to the community what the need is. We show them where the money went from the previous year, and I will not jinx us, but we have met our goals every single year.
We have a hospice thrift shop here that's run completely by volunteers that
You
people.
you couldn't get a parking spot yesterday.
No,
and I will tie in.
People donate, and they have bought ambulances. They help people. We have a food pantry here. It doesn't matter where you live. All run by volunteers. They service, from 50 to 400 families a month.
I will tell you, with the hospice too, it ties in, so the community buys and donates to and buys from the hospice, and the hospice organization has a benevolence fund that helps assist with prescription assistance and medical co-pays. I help manage that as well, and we spend over $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Every month.
So it just kind of goes back to giving.
Okay, let's see. Schools, we have, I hear that over and over and over, our schools here. Exceedingly well.
faith-based community.
Yes,
Faith-based,
community,
yes.
for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I would say faith-based community and also,
That's a B.
well, the benevolence portion, we help each other.
Is it ecumenical, working together?
Very much so.
Yes.
What's that word?
Lack of congestion. So I think, proximity to San Antonio, 45 minutes from the San Antonio Medical Center, lack of congestion, affordable, those are all kind of reasons people might live here even if they work in San Antonio.
What percentage of population by actually works in San Antonio? Just a guess.
Of the people in the working group, because there's a lot of people older retired here that are working, they're not in the workforce anymore.
Right. Of the working.
The workforce here, the percentage of the workforce is what you're looking at. It's a big number.
I would say the largest portions are, we still have some lingering oil and gas, but the probably largest portion of folks are going to be commuting to San Antonio.
What about healthcare? I didn't hear that in Missouri.
We do pretty well on healthcare. We have, we're in close proximity to the medical center for San Antonio. And for Medina County itself, we have Medina Regional Hospital, and then just south of 173, we have the Jordanton Healthcare System, and all of those are now currently managed by Methodist Healthcare Systems. And so it's a lot better than it used to be. We do have several clinics as far as for indigent care. We have indigent care programs. We have rural health care programs through the South Texas Rural Health Committee. So we have medical access. There's still some disparities and there's still gaps. That's one of the reasons I'm here. Is because that's what I help do, is help identify where we're lacking in medical care, where we're lacking in medical access, and then my company and organization, non-for-profit, comes in and helps see what we need to do to help build up that infrastructure to create those bridges between those gaps.
So most of the health care is provided outside?
Yes.
Most of it, yes.
Okay. But it's not far?
It's not far, and we are doing things currently to try and increase access, like having mobile dental units, mobile healthcare units that are coming in. We're working with other non-for-profits to bring in things like women's care for initial breast exams, blood and tissue donations. So we're working on drawing in more mobile units to be able to provide access to those services that people can't get to San Antonio for.
Does the fire department or the EMS?
I actually want to give you my card, I just told you about it, but, so we are working on, wanting to start a, mobile integrated health. So we want to also bridge the gap between somebody having to frequently visit the ER because of grief and X, Y, and Z, and, being able to stay home and getting a physician on telecom where he can get an accurate set of vitals there in the privacy of your own home versus, you have the flu, so now we have to expose you to all of these other people and stuff like that. So we're actually in the works of trying to start that program, which is awesome because I didn't even know that you were
right.
here.
And what some of the things that has happened that we've been identifying is, so that's part of what Methodist Healthcare puts Wesley nurses in place for, is to identify and try and connect these sources. So Medina County Health Unit is also doing the same thing. So we have like 3 different entities that are all doing the same thing. And so everybody's focusing on one thing, but there's a lot of gaps that aren't being addressed. So we're in the process of drawing all these people together and kind of doing what you all are attempting here, but on a healthcare range, saying, okay, well, not everybody needs to take care of dental. Why don't you keep going with trying to bridge the dental gap? We'll work at bridging the specialty care gap, and then let's just look at what do we need for just common preventative care and how can we bridge those. So we are in the process. We've got the identification part down. Now it's bringing everybody together and making sure that we're not all just focusing on one thing, but covering the whole issue that's going on and not just one thing being covered.
Great connection. Okay.
So, again, because you can't read my handwriting, a lot of these kind of go together. Locally owned businesses, proximity to Port Laredo and I-35, favorable business environment, agritourism. I mean, if I had to kind of summarize those, I'd say that there's a lot of opportunity and there's an enthusiasm by the city leadership to attract new business. I mean, is that accurate or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are we talking about attracting?
Well, we've got a lot of things based on opportunities here. So locally owned businesses, there's that here. There's a favorable environment for entrepreneurs, proximity to the Port of Laredo and I-35, agritourism, and then also you have the kind of the people going to the rivers, hill country rivers in the summer. So it seems to me that there's just there's economic opportunity, and there's
I heard agribusiness and agro opportunities because of the water and the soil. And then
Water and soil, and you have to add in there though, yet we have the favorable conditions on our land, yes. We also have it's still affordable compared to other, so you couldn't do it otherwise.
I think it's just positive growth, how to capture positive growth.
Right. Well, ecotourism, the ag, and then the local business entrepreneurship.
Right.
Or what I kind of garnered from that.
Okay. So ag manufacturing. So we just make A the economic ones. And this is an A too.
Okay.
Oh, you forgot we have an amazing farmer's market. Absolutely incredible. I run it. I'm biased.
But it's something new that he's worked on, and that does bring.
We've been going about 3 years, and
into
we've seen an uptick in the number of producers. We're a 100% producers market, so we like the hustlers. We like the people trying to start a little small business out of it. So by doing that here, and that started to attract more people, more businesses that are starting, people who are now producing themselves, and then
Are you open to the public?
It's right here.
oh dear God, yes.
I've never even seen
It's
it.
this
Oh my
whole,
gosh.
it's the whole
Yes.
street, every first
Yes.
Saturday of every month.
First Saturday.
So we're going to come up with the 5 words that Trent mentioned. So I think A, those were basically economic activity, opportunity, right?
We want to be intentional, not just drawing economic opportunity, but we want to make sure we keep the businesses that are here.
Yes.
We retain the businesses that are here also and support them as well, not just bring new people in.
We don't subdivide the pie, you grow the pie.
Okay, so economic opportunity and a desire for intentional growth.
Right.
Okay, so that was kind of number A there. So B is really about just the culture of the community, the people, the caring, so
Positive culture, maintain positive culture.
Positive caring culture.
that's we were thinking alike.
Yeah.
C's were the schools, or high-quality schools, so.
Yeah, I thought that was.
I'd rather be an A.
Those are the ratings that
Something about our
DEA gives.
location, our proximity.
No, those aren't not right. They're just trying to make them distinct.
The proximity
I thought of that.
to San Antonio,
Okay.
the A.
San Antonio, fifth largest or?
Seventh largest city in the United States.
So proximity to the seventh largest city.
7 point, yeah, that was 2011. So the last, I think between they combined it with the San Antonio New Braunfels census tract, and I think it's 8.6 million between the two cities.
I'm gonna put proximity to I-35 and Port Laredo as well.
I think so, yeah.
You said 57? Or,
Well, 57 is right down here that goes to Eagle Pass.
okay.
So what happens is.
US 57? Or?
Yes. What happens is the freight comes down 35 and then it divides through the different ports of entry. Or export.
So I guess Port of Eagle Pass then too, right? I mean, there's,
Well, it's, I don't know if they call it.
there's got to be a customs or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a port. I just, it's.
Just
it's
import-export flow from Eagle Pass and
Okay.
Laredo.
Not as robust as Laredo, certainly.
No,
Okay.
But becoming more, we find more backhaul trucks going to Eagle Pass lately. So they're just dividing it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because when you put a load on the load board and you put that you're just north of the cutoff, you can get more. If you put that you're in Pearsall, you're dropping off. You're turning off.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, okay.
So kind of our next steps, and we'll have to do this in our next meeting, is that we'd like to come up with a statement, a value proposition statement. It kind of it summarizes this and is kind of not necessarily a mission statement, but a statement of how this community offers value to residents and small businesses.
I call it the elevator talk. When you're in an elevator, you've got 2 minutes to tell somebody why they should come to Devine.
So what we'll do is we'll type all this up and we'll send it to David, and then David, if you want to, let people, distribute it, and then for the next meeting, we'll kind of talk about this and come up with that value statement. The other thing is we're going to send out Dr. Kent Bias, who's one of our team. He'll send a survey to community residents asking them. There would be a series of questions where they kind of rate the importance of different issues. And so we'll have results of that survey, so we'll discuss that. It might be interesting to kind of see what a broader group from the community sees as opportunities. And usually what we find is that it lines up pretty closely to what the participant group had. But we'll conduct that survey, and then we'll report on the results for the second workshop and develop that value proposition.
How will that survey be conducted? How will you choose which citizens and how will you reach them? And it will be both in English and Spanish and low literacy, so even our underserved community will have a say in what goes on here?
Well, that's a good question. So what we typically do is maybe use a Chamber of Commerce list, or I think David mentioned there's a city water customer list. And I don't know about English versus Spanish, though. But,
You need to have both for this community.
Okay.
And I would highly encourage us to tap the housing authority, because that's where our underserved, low-income, low-literacy clients live, and I'd be more than happy to help facilitate that. I've already done a community event last week, and it had a very positive response. But I think it's very important, because we do have so many generational families here in the Devine area. It's very important to reach out to our low-literacy, Spanish-speaking populations, because they comprise 60% of our population.
Okay. Well, I'll let Dr. Bias know that. And so, David, if you can come up with the list, and Bias can develop a survey, come up with a Spanish version and a way for people to click on the English version or Spanish version.
Right, exactly. And like I said, I'd be more than happy to help facilitate that with my contacts within the underserved community to make sure that we capture the full picture.
Okay. Well, if you could work with David on that.
So I'll be in contact.
So, okay, Trent, anything else? Well, thank you for your, go ahead, Trent.
I'm sorry, I need everybody to put the name, phone number, and email address on this tablet that's going around, please, before you leave.
Well, thank you for your time. We try to keep these on schedule because we know you have other obligations and you're carving out time from your day to be here. And so we're mindful of that, and we want you to be able to get back to how you make a living. So, Trent?
We appreciate your time. I mean, we're excited at the opportunities that we can discover here. communities we've worked with before, they all have a plan and they've been working their plan. So it's up to you whether you do that.
And also, I mentioned 6 workshops. There's a possibility on the last 2, we might just do that with a small group, but we'll just work with David and the mayor on how many people should be involved. The last 2 workshops are kind of specialized. One of them is EDA will kind of talk about funding opportunities for infrastructure. And then there's also one from the Texas Workforce Commission. So those 2 may not be of interest to the entire group, but the first 4 will come up with a plan that Trent mentioned. Thank you.
Hi, buddy. Thanks again for taking time out from your busy day. I know I get super busy and it's very tough. Obviously, if there were simple solutions, we wouldn't have a problem. That goes without saying. But I think this was just fantastic today. I heard a lot of things that I hadn't even entered my brain before. Okay, especially about the distribution on 35 and 57 and all that. So I'm of the firm opinion, anytime we could get a group of folks together like this, that's when solutions can be made. So once again, thanks a whole bunch. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you.